Hi, my name is Ali. If you like mysteries and dogs, then I have the book for you. 10-year-old Walker is back in another exciting story from Shoo Rayner. This time, our hero is out to find some missing millions for the wife of a bad billionaire locked up in prison. But so is a gang. Can Walker, his friend Ange, and dogs save the day? Listen on and find out. Here is Shoo to tell you more.
Well, thank you very much, Ali, and thank you very much to the Big Dog Festival for inviting me to come and tell you about Walker and the mystery of the missing millions. And today is a very, very special day for me because today is actually publication day. So this is the day that the book finally comes out and you can get it in bookshops and things. And I'm sure the Wigtown bookshop will be very happy to let you get hold of a copy. And I think we might have some signed stickers we can put in there too. But I've come to tell you, well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do today. I'm going to start off by telling you kind of about Walker and about how I created the first story and the new story. And then I'm going to read you a bit of an exciting part of the news story. And then I'm going to do a bit of drawing, which you can draw along. I'll show you how to draw Walker and not his dog, but the dog that he walks, called Stella. So if you want to go and find some paper and pencils, you can join in and do that later. And then hopefully you will be wanting to, I can't see anything coming up in the chat now, but hopefully if you'll be wanting to ask lots of questions, you can put them in the chat and then I will answer any questions that come up. So first of all, what I'm going to do is I have lots of technology here and I'm going to press a button here, there, which means I can come to my overhead camera. So this is the new book, Walker and the Mystery of the Missing Millions. And this is the first book here, which was Walker, the Boy Who Can Talk to Dogs. And people often ask, where do you get your ideas from? You can see my microphone there. That's kind of moved into the picture. So people often ask, where do you get your ideas from? And now this all comes back to the Wigtown Book Festival 3-4 years ago, probably. And I'd seen something on television on a news report about a puppy farm, which it really upset me. And it was about a farm in the middle of nowhere, and they were breeding lots and lots of puppies, and they were keeping the dogs in such a bad state, and it was really, really horrible. And the police came and everything. And I started thinking, because something about the farm reminded me of a place. A farm I remembered in the middle of nowhere when I was quite young. And I thought, what would I have done if I was young and I'd come across a place like that? If I'd gone to adults, would they have believed me? They'd have said, oh, no, that's a nice farmer. He wouldn't do anything like that. And so this idea got into my mind, about what would you do if you came across a crime is what it is. And would grown-ups believe you? And how do you get them to believe you and to come and save all these dogs? And then I came to the Wigtown Book Festival, and they have a wonderful room where all the authors meet up and have lunch and coffee and stuff like that. And it's great being an author. It really is. And you meet all these fantastic people. Everybody who's interesting comes through that room. And one day I was having my lunch and I sat down next to a man. He had a great big beard, and I said to him, "Oh, are you an author?" He said, "No." Carried on eating, and I said, "Are you a publisher? Do you publish books?" He went, "No." And he carried on eating. I said, "Well, what do you do?" And he said, "I'm a dog listener," he said. And something happened in that moment. I kind of felt chills go down my back, and I knew exactly what he meant. And he listens to dogs. Does he really listen to dogs? I think he kind of understands dogs. and understands the way they move and their moods and things like that. So he helps people who've got really, really naughty dogs to calm them down and behave themselves, basically. But in that moment that he said that, I could imagine a boy who could actually talk to dogs. He didn't listen to them. He could listen to them, he could hear them, and he could speak to them too. In English, or is it? Maybe it's a dog language. I don't know. When I write it, it's in English, and suddenly, in my mind, I could see the whole story of how this boy got to talk to dogs, and things would happen, and he would rescue these puppies, and that's what happens in the first book. So the second book sort of carries on. In the first book, there is, I'll come over to this, that camera there. How do you start writing a book? This is my sketchbook from 2016. This is, so I just kind of sketched up. Now there's an early kind of something going on there, I can see. But I particularly remember there was a day I went up to London. This is my great uncle, and no, my wife's uncle. He is a great uncle, and I started sketching this on the train, and this character started to appear, and I don't know why or what. And then I was also thinking about the boy who was going to be the hero, and they say you get to look like your dogs, and so I thought he's going to have sort of pointy ears if he has a pointy-eared dog, or he's going to have big floppy hair if he's got a floppy-eared dog. And so this is what started happening to me. And I thought, but we need a kind of a neighborhood watchdog, but that didn't quite work. And then I thought we just need a sort of a floppy kind of dog, which would mean you'd have floppy kind of hair, wouldn't you? Can you see that the hair kind of matches? And so I started drawing. I did all this on the train going up to London. And all the things I drew in a museum there, and I think this was on the way back. So I carried on. Look, the ears start getting a bit wilder, and the hair gets wilder, and this is when his dog appeared, called Stella, and I think I decided he was going to be called Walker because he walks dogs. He's not allowed to have a dog of his own. His mother is incredibly allergic to dogs. So she has a needle injection kind of thing, an emergency injection if she gets near a dog. And you've got to jab her with this thing, and that kind of calms her down. So he's not allowed to have a dog. And he has this brilliant idea that he could walk dogs for other people and get paid for it too. And so Stella is the first dog that he gets asked to walk, and then he meets, on his first walk with Stella, he meets this guy, and he kind of owns the village, and he's a multi-millionaire, and he's called Arlington Wherewithall. I don't know where I got the name; it just came into my head, and this I thought would be his wife, who's called Jazaminta, and where I got that name from, I don't know. And there's just some other kind of dog kind of drawing things, sketchbook stuff, things. And so these characters started kind of appearing, and a story started to appear in my head. Oh, it looks like that needs a bit of focusing. Oh no, there we go. And so I had to kind of plan the village where he lives. And so I kind of did this map of the village. And Walker lives over here somewhere, and there's the village hall, and there's village green, and there's this place here called Foxley Fields where everything happens. And this is where Arlington Wherewithall lives, at the big house, and there's a lake, and the dogs all go jumping in there, of course. And there's a house here which is owned by Stella's owner, who's called Jenny. And you can go straight out into Foxley Fields through this little bit of wood. So he goes to look after Jenny after school. He picks her up and he goes for a walk. And when he's up here, he comes across Arlington Wherewithall. Let me see if I can find that page. It'll be some. And there's lots of stuff going on here. So I'll never find the page, I don't think. So Arlington Wherewithall he's a pretty horrible man, and he tells him, "Get off my land." And so he and Stella kind of run away, and Stella suddenly says, "Oh, I need a poo." And Walker says, "You can talk." And she says, "Yes, I need a poo." And she goes, does a poo, and then she says, "You need to bag that up." He said, "But Stella, you can talk." And she says, "Yes." And then he discovers that he can talk to dogs, and so then this is the puppy farm over here, and then this is the keeper's cottage. This is Osmo, who's a horrible, horrible person, who's the gamekeeper. And so he's looking after the puppy farm. And so all the dogs come together and they come up with a plan and they save the puppies. Hooray! And Arlington goes to jail. Hooray! And so that's where we pick up in the second story. And so let me show. I got all sorts of stuff over here. So when you actually start to write a book, this microphone's getting in the way here, isn't it? Oh, never mind, I'll do that later. So when you start to write a book, this is how I started. This is called a synopsis, and this is what I sent to my publishers. And I kind of did a little idea of what I thought the cover might look like. And here we have a plot outline and some little sketches. This is Osmo, who is the ground gamekeeper. He goes around with shotguns, which is a bit scary. And again, this was Jasmine, but I've changed her a bit. And this is Camilla, her little dog. She's a little Yorkshire Terrier. So this is kind of a rough outline of what the story is about. This is Arlington again. Get off my land! And these are his dogs, Thor and Loki. They're pointers, so they're gun dogs. This is a dog. She never actually made it into the book, but I was going to call her Beyonce. She was an Afghan, but I had great fun dreaming up all the different dogs. And then what happened? So, hang on. So then I kind of had to write the story, and then the story all gets laid out as if it's in the book. And then I do these very rough pencil sketches to see how the illustrations are going to fit into the book, because I illustrate as well. So I suppose I'm a bit different to other authors. When other authors are writing, they're sort of thinking in words, and I'm thinking in words and pictures, which is a bit different, I think. And so from that, then I do these kind of slightly better rough sketches, sort of like this, and I do lots of these. And then eventually, my publishers say, "Okay, do the finished artwork." And this is the finished artwork, which I can zoom in a little bit. There we go. And this is all painted in. I draw it in ink with a pen, and then I paint it with just a single color, grey. And then it gets put into the book. You can see, look, there's lots of exciting stuff going on here. Look, they've been captured, and all sorts of things going on. It's a very exciting story. Even though I say it myself, I got very excited while I was writing it. So what have I got here? So then what I thought I would do was I would have lots of these little character sketches. And at the beginning of every chapter, because it moves around one chapter to another, you're not quite sure where you are. So I have little pictures of, who's in the story at that moment, so you know where you are. This is Bolt, who is Osmo's nasty little Jack Russell. And so I did all these little character sketches for there. And here you are. That's Thor and Loki there. And then this is Thor, and more of a colour sketch there. And then I have to do the covers. And that can take a bit of time. So it kind of covers start off with sort of very rough, quick sort of sketches to say, what do you think of this idea? And they go, and so we just keep doing all these little sketches and little drawings and trying things out in slightly different angles. So move the dog here, move that dog there, and then we start on the cover itself, and there's a color rough, and then they said, could you maybe in this story, in the first book, you can see he really has got very wild hair to match Stella's ears. And so in this book, I was asked, do you think maybe he could have a bit of a haircut? So his hair isn't quite so mad in this book. But it's kind of working out quite how much to cut off. And so, as you can see, it goes through lots of different stages, different drawings. Will he look here? Will he look there? Different expressions on his face, trying all sorts of things. And then that then is actually the finished artwork there. That's the original, and it's painted in watercolor. And that gets scanned, and then it all gets put together in Photoshop and things like that. And look, here's the money. This is the 5 and the 10 and the £20 note that you can see sort of scattered all over the cover. And this is a little cover rough, just working out ideas again. And this is from the first book as well. Look, so you can see that's the artwork for the first book. All painted in watercolor again. And that was a first version that didn't quite make it. Gave up halfway through. I thought, it's not right. And that was another version of the first cover and how that was going to be, how that was going to look. And then that is the back cover of the book that is published today. Walker and the Mystery of the Missing Millions. And my editor, she's a bit like a teacher, I suppose, in a way. So she corrects my spelling and all that kind of stuff. But more than that, when I sort of get the idea, I talk it through with her. She says, what about this? What about that? And I go, oh, I hadn't thought of that. So I go off and write it. And when I sent her the story, then I don't hear from her for a while. I think she doesn't like it. She doesn't like it. Oh dear, she doesn't like it. And then she comes back and says, it's wonderful. What a wonderful story. And I think, fantastic. And then she says, but it could be a little bit better if you change this and change that and cut that bit out and do this. So I go and do that. And then I send it back to her. And then I don't hear from her for a while. I think, oh, she doesn't like it. And then she comes back. She said, it's even more wonderful. But it could be better. And she says, change this, change that. And sometimes I might disagree, and sometimes she might say, change this, and I get a completely different idea, and I'll talk to her about it. We'll talk it through. So we kind of talk about it. And an editor's job is really to make the book the best possible book it can be for the reader, because when you're writing something, you're so focused on what you're writing, you don't really think about the person who's reading it. So that is an editor's job, is to then think about it, the story, from the reader's point of view, and to make sure that everything flows properly and that there aren't any strange things going on where you go, wait a minute, he said something different in chapter 3, and how come? So that's what an editor does, to check that everything is correct. And then she had this brilliant idea of putting this little introduction here. So it says, welcome to Foxley, which is the village. I'm going to need my glasses for this, which is the village where they live. And it said, this is Walker. He can't have a dog because his mother is allergic, so he walks other people's dogs in the village. He walks Stella, and her owner is Jenny. He used to walk Loki and Thor for Arlington Wherewithall, until he caught Arlington running a puppy farm and got him arrested. This is Arlington's wife, Jazaminta. We're going to meet her again in a minute. And her dog, Camilla, who we will also meet again in a minute. So Camilla she's slightly snappy, but not terribly. But she's very dedicated to Jazaminta, who likes to be called Jazz. And she always has a little bow in her hair. Every day, a fresh bow. And this is Walker's best friend Anya and her dog Boss, and this is her dad, Mr. Bonus, who runs the village shop, and he comes from Latvia, so he has interesting business ideas. he's kind of Walker has his dog walking business, so Mr. Bonus is kind of Walker's sort of business mentor. And here are the local police. This is Detective Inspector Triggs, and this is Constable Krish Malik and police dog Rafi. And who are the people spying on everybody with their dog Bolt? You'll have to read to find out. So I was going to say something about them, but it's just gone clean out of my head. Something about, yes, the police have turned up in this book. And it actually starts off, Walker, Dad called up from the front door. It's the police. They want to talk to you. Walker felt his stomach lurch as if he was racing downhill on a roller coaster. The police? What did they want? Warily, he descended the stairs into the hall. So you don't really want the police turning up on your doorstep, really don't know why, but he gets quite closely involved with the police as time goes on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this camera, which means that I can sort of show you some pictures at the same time. So this is, let me find the right picture. This is the one we want here. I'm going to read you a bit of the exciting bit. Well, I think it's the exciting bit. I'll try and make it exciting. And if you've got questions and stuff like that, put them in the comments box. I can see some things coming up which I will answer towards the end. Something was wrong. Walker and Stella are going up to the Banner House where Jazz lives. Okay. Jazz can't find Arlington's money and he won't tell her where it is. But he's told her that the key to his money is in his office, but she can't find it. Walker tried to help her find it. He couldn't find it, and but now everyone else is after his money too. So he's walking Stella up to Jasminta's house, where he looks after Thor and Loki as well. He's going to feed them. Something was wrong. Walker could tell by the way Stella ran, all hunched up and tense looking, nervous. "What's up?" he whispered, sensing that they shouldn't draw attention to themselves. It's the van we saw Osmo driving," she said breathlessly. The van boss didn't like, the one he said had bad men in it. "Let's sneak around the side of the house and peek in the windows," said Walker. "That'll be the office window over there." Walker pointed to the corner of the building where the Virginia creeper was growing up the walls in fantastic shades of red and yellow. Walker clipped Stella onto the lead. He felt braver being connected to her, and Stella felt safer attached to him. They crept along the side of the house, keeping their heads down, popping up to look into the ground floor windows. Nothing seemed unusual or out of place. The windows were ancient, little diamond panes held together with strips of lead. They didn't stop any sound, like double or triple glazing would. Walker heard voices from the room at the end, the office. Excuse me. They crept along the wall, keeping their heads down. Something in the tone of the voices made him nervous. "I'm calling D.I. Triggs," Walker whispered, pulling his phone from his pocket and pressing the speed dial number that the detective inspector had programmed into the memory. Before he could even raise the phone to his ears, he felt a terrible pain in the neck, like pincers of a giant beetle grabbing hold of him from behind. Oh, his blood ran cold. "I'll have that." A bony hand, decorated with a vicious-looking scorpion tattoo, grabbed the phone out of Walker's hand and stuffed it into a back pocket. The man held Walker's neck in a vice-like grip. Stella barked like a lunatic. "Woof, woof, 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 woof." The man lashed out with his foot, side-swiping Stella in the ribs. She squealed. "Wow!" That sounds like a cat. Hang on. The man grabbed her lead, making Stella choke. "You two nosy Parkers are coming with me," he spoke with a nasty, raspy voice that made Walker even more scared. The man dragged them round the house and through the back door, pushing Walker down the corridor. Stella tried to dig her claws into the stone floor, but the man just dragged her along behind him, choking her even more. I shouldn't be laughing, should I? And then he shoved both of them through the office doorway. Oh, it was such a relief to be free of the pincers. on his neck. It took Walker a moment to take in the situation. He saw Stella was in a state of shock, cowering as the man tied her lead to the door handle. The room was empty. Hang on, I can probably change it. Put another picture in here. Hang on, where have we got? Here we are. This is Osmo, and this is Jazz. The room was empty, totally empty. No desk or laptop or executive swivel chair. No photographs on the walls, no filing cabinets, nothing. Everything that had been in the room when he'd first visited last Sunday, even the carpet, had gone. Sitting in a chair by the window, head held high and defiant, Jazz glared at a short, stout man with a ginger beard and a greasy cap, which was embroidered with a picture of a dog and the slogan, "I heart Jack Russells." Osmo! The man behind Walker spoke. "Look what I found snooping around outside." "Let him go this instant," Jazz ordered. "He's just a child." Osmo stared at Walker, his pale blue piggy eyes crinkled with malign pleasure. "I might have known you'd turn up, you sneaky little kid." "It's all right, I've got his phone," the other man growled, holding it up and waggling it just out of Walker's reach. Then he put the phone safely back in his pocket. "Tape him up," Osmo ordered. Walker realised that Jazz's hands were bound together behind her back. "You can't do that to a child," Jazz insisted, as she watched the horrible younger man jerk Walker's arms behind his back. There was a loud whoosh, angry rip of duct tape as he tore off a length and wrapped it round Walker's wrists. Osmo sneered. "Get the other dog," he ordered. The other man left the room and returned holding Camilla up by the scruff of her neck. Camilla wriggled and yapped, yap, 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 and snarled technology. I was running on batteries. I thought I was plugged in. Osmo sneered. "Get the other dog," he ordered. The other man left the room, then returned, holding Camilla up by the scruff of the neck. Camilla wriggled and yapped and snarled bravely, trying to bite the hands that held her tight. "Now," said Osmo with a deep and theatrical sigh, "let's try again. We know the key to Arlington's millions was in this room. So where is it now? What have you done with all the stuff?" Hang on a minute as I change the page. "Go and pickle your stupid fat head," Jazz snarled. Walker was amazed. She was so brave. He looked at Stella for reassurance. Stella was staring at her lead. It was tied to the door handle. She gave him a whine, telling him that it would be quite easy to undo if she had the chance, if the horrible men could be distracted. She could feel a breeze from the back door. The man hadn't closed it behind them, so escape was possible. Osmo took a Swiss Army knife out of his pocket. He pulled out a tiny little pair of scissors from the side of the knife with his fingernails. He snipped and snapped in the air. "Let's start with that stupid little bow." Scorpio held Camilla tight. Camilla bared her teeth, snarling and growling at him, but she was so tiny there was nothing she could do with Scorpio holding her so tightly. Osmo pulled the tuft of hair that tied up today's fresh pink ribbon and clipped it off in one smooth chop. He waved it about between his index finger and thumb and then tossed it casually into the fireplace. The room fell silent. Walker and the dogs turned to Jazz. How would she react? She blinked slowly and took a deep breath. Oh, all right, she sighed. I'll tell you, if you promise not to hurt anyone. Her shoulders slumped in defeat. Stella and poor Camilla were stunned into silence. I had everything boxed up yesterday and put into a storage unit, Jazz explained. After my husband's lawyer came here sneaking around trying to find the key to the missing millions, I thought it was the safest thing to do. It was the stupidest thing to do, Osmo growled. At that moment, a voice called out from Scorpio's back pocket. Let me find the picture. There. Walker? Scorpio pulled the phone out of his pocket and stared at it with a stupefied look of amazement. A woman's voice spoke from the tiny speaker. Walker, are you all right? Camilla felt Scorpio loosen his grip. Like a streak of lightning, she swung her head round and snapped, sinking her tiny teeth into Scorpio's hand. The man howled out with pain, letting go of Camilla and the phone. Camilla ran to protect her mistress. The phone spun and arced through the air, the voice still calling, Walker, is that you? It was the distraction Stella had needed. She slipped her lead off the door handle, leapt in the air, caught the phone clean in her mouth and ran for the back door. Camilla, go with her, Walker bellowed. Go and get some help. And that's all I'm going to read. And everything, it just kicks off from there, as you can maybe well imagine. So you're going to have to go to the library and ask them to get copies. You're going to have to ask your teachers to get copies in school. Or you can go to the bookshop. You can go to Amazon. You can go to the Wigtown bookshop online, and they've got copies, signed copies. Or you can go to fireflypress.com.co.uk and they have copies too, and some badges. I think they still have some badges. Yeah, I can see the festival bookshop thing going down at the bottom there, so you can get copies there. So that's what I've been doing. How are we doing for time? Yeah, we've got plenty of time. Good. So I dropped that on the floor. I am going to do a bit of drawing. So I'm going to show you how to draw Walker and Stella. So if you have got pens and pencils and paper and things like that, you will in fact find at the back of the book, which I have now lost. There's so many things going on here. At the back, you can actually find there is a little thing here. That's all very blurred. That'll focus. Shows you how to draw Walker and Stella as well. So, but I'm going to show you briefly. It's quite good to have a plan here as well that I can follow. Although I've drawn Walker many, many times. So I'm going to start with a circle like that. And we're going to draw a stick person, a stick walker. So we draw that down there, and we're going to draw like that. I'm going to slightly change it. So I'm going to put a little triangle at the bottom for the shoe. And then I'm going to do that as well. I'm going to put a little triangle like that for the other shoe. So we can have one arm going off there with a little circle. And then one arm going there, which is, oh, my pencil has broken. Luckily, I have a pencil sharpener. I think it's a very soft pencil, this one. So, and then you can draw a little thing like that. Draw very gently, because you want to erase the lines later. And so, if I can find it, I had everything here all sorted out, and the pen's disappeared. There we go. I found it now. So what we want to do is we can draw two little curves like that, which are going to be the ears, the ear lobes, just the ear lobes. And then we want to draw some curly sort of hair like that. Maybe put some other little curls in there like that. And then we can bring the rest of the chin around there. And then we want to have eyes. So it's 2 circles with dots in for the eyes. And then we want a little for the nose. And then kind of like a little bean for a little smile with a little shape underneath for it's the shadow underneath the lip there, like that. And then I'm going to draw 2 lines down and connect them with a little curve. And then 2 curves like that, which will be his sort of school uniform collar sticking out, because he always goes walking dogs after school. And I think that can be a little bit longer, actually. I'm going to make it a bit longer over there. And so from here, I'm going to draw down to his cuff, like that, and to there. And then here, that will be his cuff there as well. And then we're going to want to have his the top of his school sweatshirt. It's going to be like that. That will be the school logo. And then we've got to draw the hands. They're always really difficult. So if we imagine he's probably sort of going like that. So we'll have a hand with the thumb pointing down, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. So we can come here and around the thumb. Then we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4 for the hand there. This is more tricky because there's going to be a lead. So we need to do the thumb like that. And then we'll do 1, 2, 3 for the knuckles. And then we have the lead coming out like that in a kind of a circle. Yeah, that kind of works. No, that wasn't the thumb. The thumb goes underneath. I'm getting confused. Are you getting confused? That's the little bit of ribbing down at the waist on his school uniform top. And then we'll want the lead going off like that. So for the trousers, we will come down there like that. And then we want a little kind of a W there. And down to the bottom of the trousers. And then that will come up to there. And then we'll have a line down there, and that'll be the front of his trousers. And then we'll come in a little wiggle in there, a little kind of an M or a W. And that's you always get kind of folds and creases in the back of your trousers, don't you? And then we can draw this kind of triangle-y shoe shape like that. And then if we do that, then that will be the sole, and we can maybe put some little markings on like that. And then we want to do a curve there and then straight across. And this is the other way around, a curve and then straight down. And then we put the laces in like that, 1, 2, 3. And then tie the laces with a couple of bows like that. And there he is, just like that. So now we need to draw Stella. So I'm going to draw a circle, so that's going to be kind of the brain box of her head. And then we're going to want to have the neck. And that'll be sort of the back and the tail. And then how are we going to have this? That will be her shoulder, her elbow, and then this is down to the wrist, and then she'll have a paw at the bottom like that. So the chest will be sort of coming around like that. And then here again, then that's the hip, and you've got the hip joint there, which goes forward to the knee, down to the ankle, and then down to the feet there. It's just very complicated with dogs. And then we'll maybe have that about there, and we'll have another one sort of like that. So what am I going to do? I'm going to draw a little curve around the top. That's the top of her head. And then I'm going to draw her ears, which are like little clouds, which go sideways. Is everything going all right here? I'm not getting any Kenny's. No, I always have to just check that. I have to just check that I'm not getting messages to say that the cameras aren't working. So, because otherwise I'm just talking to myself. And then we want to put 2 little eyes like that. And I'm going to put the eyeballs about there so that Stella is looking back at Walker. And then we're going to come around like that. And then just a little bit there. It's tricky. I know it's tricky. And then we'll put the nose there and nearly shade it all in, except for a little white bit to make it shiny, and a line under there. And we want a collar with a little name tag. And then we can come all the way out there, and we want to draw the tail. And then we want to come around like that, down to the ankle, down to the paw, and we'll come around and around and around, up, and then around like that. I know, it looks so easy, doesn't it? Here, we're just going to go straight down like that, and around and around and around, like that. And then we'll have her chest, like that. This leg will go around and around and around for the paw. Come down here and go around and around and around. And there they are, going for a walk like that. She's ambling, isn't she? But he's having to run to keep up. So I don't know how that works. So we'll have a bit of, I'm just going to add a little bit of a scribble on there to add a bit of shading, and then a bit of grass so that you know that they're in the Foxley fields. And then we'll have some trees in the background. Yeah, that wasn't too difficult, was it? The trees were the easiest part. And there you go. That's how to draw Walker. And if I bring that over there and I do that one, you should be able to still see it. And I can come and answer some of your questions. How are we doing for time? Perfect. It's a question from Louise. What is your favourite breed of dog? Well, that is tricky, isn't it? I don't have a dog. Perhaps you feel I should have a dog. I had a dog for a little while, and I found I can't live with dogs, which is an odd thing. So I think it's, I don't know, I think it's something to do with chemicals or the smell of dog fur or something. I don't know. But we had a dog for a little while, and I'm more of a cat person, and we had two lovely cats at the time. We have Marmaduke and Shula, who were brother and sister, and we got this dog, and they sat at the top of the stairs going, "Brr, when's this dog going?" And I kind of sat at the top of the stairs with them going, "When's this dog going?" at the same time. And I found it very difficult to live with a dog. And cats are very different. They sort of come in and out, and they do what they please. And I suppose I'm a bit the same. Whereas dogs are, they're kind of team players, aren't they? And they like to play team games and be one of the gang. And so some people are they like to play team games, and some people like to play single games, like sort of something like tennis or football. So the football's a team game, and tennis it's you against the other person. And some people just like to be quiet and not have to take the dog out at 12 o'clock at night to take it for a walk, to have a wee on the lamppost. So that's me. So I found I couldn't live with a dog. But if I had to have a dog, and if I had to choose a dog, I would choose a working Cocker Spaniel, maybe with a bit of poodle thrown in, which is sort of what Stella is. Stella is my favourite dog. She is my fantasy dog. She's perfect. Okay. So what else have we got? Favourite breed of dog? Question from Joyce. Hello there, Joyce. How are you doing? When you're sketching on train, Shoo, do people peer over your sketchbook or ask to see what you're sketching? I'd be so curious if I were a passenger. Sometimes they do, and sometimes you get into quite interesting conversations. But sometimes if you're sketching people, you don't really want them to know that you're sketching them. But the person sitting next to you very often starts sort of leaning over and kind of watching, and until in the end they can't bear it, and they have to kind of say, "Are you an artist?" And sort of want to know what you're doing, why you're drawing, or whatever. And sometimes I'm kind of designing books on trains. In fact, I remember I don't think I'd be able to find it, but the previous series I did was called Dragon Gold, Dragon Red, and Dragon White, which is all about dragons. And I was actually on the Eurostar designing the cover of the second book, Dragon White. Again, Janet, my editor, had said, we really need to know what this cover's going to look like. And I was going to visit a school in Brussels, and I was sitting on the Eurostar. I thought, I just had an idea for the cover. So I started sketching, and then I did a bigger sketch, and then I had my paints with me as well. So I sort of painted it, or did a rough sort of color sketch of it. And I got my phone, and I took a picture of it, and I emailed the rough and sent it off to Janet, and she came back to me in about 5 minutes time saying, wow, that's fantastic. And in the old days that would have taken a couple of weeks to send things off in the post, and sort of sat there waiting every day for the postman to come. But now it happens just like that. And again, I remember the person next to me on the Eurostar was kind of leaning over, watching and asking what it was about. Question from Callum. Hi there, Callum. Is there anyone you particularly find difficult to draw? Yeah. Yes, I think everything new that you have a go at is difficult. But drawing is all about looking. You have to look. And when you look, you go, oh, that goes there and that goes there. Oh, I see. And what's even better is if you can have the thing you want to draw in front of you, and then you can kind of walk around the back and see how they're fixed. When it comes to animals, when I did that, the stick person, I really like to, when I got a new animal, I can't quite understand what I call the ness. So if it's a dog, what's the dogness of it about, or the catness about it? The essence. Quite often I go to Google and I type in images to get images of skeletons of that animal, and then you can work out what's going on with the bones, and what's going on inside the dog and or the animal, and it just kind of makes it more easy to draw. And so once you've had a really good look, then you have a go at drawing it. And if it's not quite right, you go back and have another look, and you go, why isn't that working? And you look, and I need to do that. I need to do this. And you're not going to get it first time. Sometimes you do, but it's very unusual. But sometimes you just have to keep working at it to get a really difficult drawing. But eventually, it's sort of like riding a bicycle. You wobble all over the place and fall over. But when you get it, and then you can draw that thing again, and then the trick is to be able to draw it from different angles, from above and below, and that kind of thing. But it's all about practice. It's about looking and practicing. A lot of drawing is not about doing that. It's about doing this, and looking and understanding. And that's why drawing is so good, because it really helps you to understand things. There you go, Callum. I hope that makes some sense. Comment from Big Shed Art. Shoo, you have to make an audio book of this. It's a cracking tale to read, but even much more fun with you reading it. Well, thank you. You'll have to get on to Firefly Press. Hey, maybe even watching as we speak and thinking, that's a good idea. So yeah, maybe you're right there. Anne Barkley says, no, Owen asks, what sort of dog is Stella? Well, I think when I started, she was a Cocker Spaniel, and I think I've sort of just got more interested in dogs and sort of breeds and things since then. And so, but she's a bit too small, I think, for a Cocker Spaniel. When you look at the picture there of Walker, so Walker's about 10 years old. So in fact, if Walker was a grown person, then that's about the same proportion that a Cocker Spaniel would be, but it's actually smaller because Walker's not a fully grown person. So I think that she's a working Cocker Spaniel, right, which is a much smaller breed. But I think she's also got a little bit of poodle in there. And the reason that she had, I've sort of come to realize, things change as you're writing the story, and so I'm thinking now about the third book and the fourth book, in fact. So eventually I want Stella to come and live with Walker, and I'm trying to work out how this happens. But if his mother is so allergic to dogs, she has to be not allergic to Stella, which makes her a magic dog. But there are a lot of breeds that are around now which are all doos, like cockadoodle doos and springer doos and things like that, because there are a lot of crossbreeding with poodles at the moment, because poodles don't make people quite so itchy, and they aren't quite so allergic to poodles, because they have a different kind of fur. It's a softer kind of fur, and I think they don't shed quite so much sort of dandruff and stuff like that. And so people are mixing things. So I think that Stella is a working cocker spaniel with some poodle in there, which is going to make her hypoallergenic, which means that Walker's mum is not going to start going if Stella comes to live with them. So that's what I think she is, and that's what I've decided she is now. So it's my story. I can make it whatever I like. Freya, hi. Freya asks, do you find it harder to write a book illustrate it? That is such a difficult question. I find drawing is no. What do I find the easiest? I find talking the easiest. I think I find a lot easier just sitting in front of a camera, in front of an audience, just talking and telling stories. So I'm a storyteller. That's kind of what I am. And when I was at school, I was not very good at writing. And I shouldn't tell you this. I have to get close to the microphone to whisper this. When I was about 16, and we used to do an exam in those days called O-levels, and we used to have to take English language and English literature, and I failed both once. I resat the exams again, and I failed them again, and I had to resit them again, and I failed them again, and I had to resit them again, and in the end I just scraped a pass. And now looking back, I know why, and it's because I'm a bit dyslexic, and I have a particular kind of thing where my brain races ahead about sort of 200 miles, and my hand can't keep up with the writing, certainly not typing, because I only type with two fingers. And so I would think that I'd written about 10 pages of story, and in fact I'd only written a paragraph, and the rest was all left out. And so I've had to learn to really slow down, and I do find the writing part, the actual writing part, difficult. The ideas part is the bit that I love, because that's when your mind can go at 200 miles an hour. And then while I'm doing that, and while I'm thinking ideas, I'm sketching as well. And so all the time I'm thinking and planning, I'm sketching, I'm developing the characters, and it's all a bit of a mishmash. So, but I do find the drawing easier, but I think I find the speaking and telling it even more easy. That's kind of what I prefer, I think. Issy, hi. What are you writing at the moment? Will there be more Walker books? I'm writing a book about drawing at the moment, actually, and I'm hoping that it's going. Oh, I'm just moving that about. Ooh, this is like animation, isn't it? Look, they're going for a walk across the screen. So, and I'm hoping there is going to be a third Walker book. And in fact, the whole of this month, I can show you now. The whole of this month, I have been drawing dogs every day on YouTube. I've been drawing them live. I've been doing this thing called Dogs of Influence, because the next book I'm hoping is going to have a whole set of dogs turn up at a dog show called Dogs of Influence. So they're kind of dogs that have Instagram kind of sort of followings of several millions people following them on Instagram. And so I asked people to send me pictures of their dogs and tell me what was so amazing about their. I'll just show you the ones I've been doing. I'll go to that camera there. And so I've been doing all these dogs this month, one a day. And in fact, at 4 o'clock this afternoon, I'll be doing one. So you can come and watch that if you like. So youtube.com/Shoo Rayner drawing, all one word, at 4 o'clock this afternoon. So this was yesterday's, and this is Max, who likes to invent new types of ice cream. And this was, I want to say medley, or the name's gone. And yes, I didn't write the names down, did I? And so I've been drawing all these dogs. So all these dogs might turn up in the next book. This is Dark Lightning here, who's got this fantastic flash on the front there. Oops, what have we got going on here? And this is Noodle, and this was Gus. So this is Big Ben, who's enormous, and Big Ben knows this little cat here called Oliver. And this afternoon, I'm not drawing a dog, but Tom, don't tell anyone. This afternoon, I'm not drawing a dog. I'm drawing a cat that thinks it's a dog. It's a cat called Oliver who thinks he's a dog, so, which is really good, because when I got sent this picture of a cat and they said this cat thinks it's a dog, it goes out kayaking and everything. I thought I could have a cat in the Walker box. And this is Melina, who's a beagle. This is Mac, who wants to be in the circus. This is the Backpack Beast Scout, who's actually blind. And this is Dandelion, she's got very short legs, so she likes to hide in the dandelion so nobody knows. This is Padme, the Pekingese. I've done a lot of drawing, haven't I? This is Hunter, who is a 3-legged dog. This is Sunny, who is just lovely and sunny. And this is Miss Opalan. This is Roculus, who thinks he's a vampire. And this is the marvellous Miss Mavis, who's a Pomeranian. And these are pictures various pictures that I've done of Melina the Beagle again. So there we go. We're getting towards the end, so I'll come back to there and answer your final questions. Joyce says, do you ever wake up from a dream with ideas for illustration and storyline for your books? I tend to wake up from a dream thinking, oh, what was that idea? And it's gone. So basically, no. But I think it sort of goes in there, doesn't it? And when I sit down with a pencil and paper and start working out an idea, then all these, they come from weird places. So maybe they've come from dreams, and the ideas just come, don't they? Comment from Linda. My husband was allergic to our last dog, caused asthma. But Mac has a wiry coat, so it doesn't set off his asthma. That's amazing. Look, I can show you Mac. Again, Mac. I come to that. Look, that's Mac. And so we're getting it from the horse's mouth. So we have been at this for a little while. I'm going to come back to here. And I think that's all the questions, isn't it? We got millions more on here. Oh, I see. Hang on a minute. Those are the those are the ones that have been sent to me anyway. What's your favorite? We've done all that. Great. So, well, I am going to hit the microphone and say thank you very much for watching and for being with me here. And do come and join me at 4 o'clock on YouTube, youtube.com/Shoo Rayner drawing. And I will be drawing Oliver, the cat that thinks it's a dog, and I'm telling you all about that. And I'm not sure what I do now other than say thank you very much. Keep reading, keep practicing drawing, keep doing all that kind of stuff, and have a very good day, a very good weekend, and enjoy the rest of the festival. And thank you very much, Big Dog, for having me.